What's good, y'all? Welcome into the TraKCouts podcast. This is the podcast where we talk music and life with the people living it. I'm your host, Cole Brett. With me, as always, my brother Scorpio. What's up, dog?
What's the word?
Check it out. Artists, engineers, producers, creatives. If they doing this music shit, we want to talk to them. We drop every other Wednesday on all the platforms. So make sure you're tapped in so you're notified when we drop. Today's guest is a live sound engineer and production manager who currently tours with 311 and Corey Taylor. He's been in this game for over 15 years, and he's been a good buddy of mine for about 10. Please enjoy this conversation with Geoff Plourd. See, if you want to talk some gear today, this is your guy right here. He knows fucking everything about gear.
I love gear.
Like, you can just say, like, show him a random picture of something and he'll be like, oh, yeah, that's the XGP 3336. It's like, dude, what?
And then we were just talking. I was talking to Courtney, and we were just like, man, this is numbers.
Yeah.
And then everyone's like, how do you remember all the numbers? I'm like, I don't know. It just happens.
Yeah.
Because there's no names for things. It's just like you said, like 440s and the 880s and
Right.
840s and all that kind of stuff. It's just stupid.
And it's just the difference, but like one number difference is like a whole different model. So it's
insane.
Like, yeah.
Would you be like a gearhead? Are you like more like analog or digital when it comes down to shit? Like you
Whatever.
fuck with whatever.
And like,
don't matter.
I might not know how to use it,
Yeah.
but I can tell you about it.
That's how you know he's a gear nerd, dude. No idea how to turn it on, but
I can turn it on.
Yeah.
I can turn it on, and I know what it's supposed to do. But how does this work?
I don't know.
Figure it out, man.
yeah. As long as you know your signal flow, you're going to make it through the show.
Absolutely.
So tell us about how you got started then. Let's take it way back, like your early days, first gig type shit. How did you get started and how were you like, yeah, live production is for me?
So I wanted to be a rock star.
I think that is how we all start out, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, this hustle's real. And then so I moved. I was like working with some like local bands. This was when I grew up in Atlanta. And so I was working with some local bands there, and I was like, this is cool, and it's not costing me any money. And so I realized that doing like the engineering stuff and the back end stuff is going to be way more fruitful, because I was like, if I join a band and we become like kind of successful and we break up, the chances of me finding another band and being successful again is like slim to none.
Mm-hmm.
And this way, I'm not out any money. I can start making money by doing this and making a career out of it and not being struggling and going to hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So I started working with small local bands in Atlanta. Like I managed a metal band for a while. We did like shows at like pizza joints, and I like bought a PA system and, stuff like that. And then through that, I met some friends and found the first touring band that I worked with, a guy named Nigel Dupree. And so his dad was in a pretty big band in the 90s. And so he kind of just like, we toured with them. And through that, I started working with that band and doing like national touring and stuff. Still small places, some bigger festivals. And through that, I met the dudes at DSS. I met Kevin and Jeremy and everyone. And in 2015, they hit me up to like, hey, come do Daytona. And I was like, okay. They're like, we'll just pick you up in the truck in Atlanta. It's on the way. I was like, cool, whatever. Literally just a semi-truck pulls up. He's like, get in.
Yeah, that's pretty par.
While I'm driving down, Kevin's like, hey, man, you want to move to Kansas City? And I'm like, well, let's see how this gig goes first. And was there for 2 weeks, met Tyler. And so we did that. And then on the way back, I'm like, yeah, let's talk. And then late April of 2015, I moved here, worked for DSS, and then did that for 5 years. COVID happened. And then we didn't do it anymore. And then in 2021, Corey Taylor hit me up, and he's like, hey, man, looking to do some of this like COVID touring where it's going to be all pods and stuff like that. But I'm wanting to like, obviously I'm okay, but I want to do this tour to have all my friends be okay as well, make some money. Because, nobody in the industry was working. I was selling insurance, so That sucked.
Yeah.
You know, so it was an opportunity to get back to it. And we were actually like one of the first bands to do a full like actual touring during COVID. We were out for like 3 months doing these like undersells, doing small places and doing like the pods and all that kind of stuff.
What's the pods?
So you'd buy like a pack of 4 tickets and you could sit with your friends in that 4-ticket thing.
okay.
And then there was like 6 feet of space.
Okay.
And then another group,
pod.
another pod of people. So it was like social distancing, and you could like not wear your mask when you were in the pod. But if you had to like go run to the bathroom, you had to put your mask on when you walked by other people. Mm-hmm. It was a cool idea and concept, and a lot of places did it. But then like a lot of cities were just like, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't matter. So they just kind of started going by the wayside. But we did that, and I just started, you know, freelancing, doing that, working with them, and that was pretty much what I did for a while. And then I did some training in St. Louis for D&B with the new KSL and GSL stuff, and Brian Sankus was there, and he's like, I got to get you in with Eighth Day. So he put me in touch with Eighth Day. I went and they hit me up a couple times. They're like, you want to do this tour? I'm like, yeah, sure. Nothing came of it. Whatever. I wasn't really missing a whole lot. And then they hit me up and they're like, hey, do you want to be the monitor tech for 311? And I'm like, sure. You know, whatever. I like doing monitors. So I was monitor tech for them when I wasn't doing Corey Taylor stuff. And we were in Europe with Corey, and they hit me up. I'd only done about 10, 15 shows with them as a whole because just the scheduling didn't work. Mm-hmm. But it was, you know, we did like a couple one-off things. They hit me up and they were like, hey, our engineer is retiring from the road. We want you to take over. And I'm like, I've barely done any shows with you. They're like, no, we like your vibe. We want you to do it. So in 2024, I was in Europe with Corey Taylor. They were there. 311 was there also doing the festival circuits and stuff. So we had crossed paths a couple times. And I came home July 1st and started my tour with 311 July 10th. And I've just been their engineer since. And then middle of our tour last year, we parted ways with our TM and PM, same guy. And they were just like, would you like to take over as production manager as well as doing the monitors? And I'm like, yeah, it's something I'd wanted to do, but not necessarily getting thrown in like that. I always wanted to like ease into it and learn and stuff, but I definitely went feet to the fire.
Yeah.
And started being PM last July.
Yeah.
And so
that's their production manager. That's like the guy that's in charge of all the techs and all that.
Yeah. So I'm in charge of pretty much everything on stage, whether it be labor, like the crew, the audio, video, lighting, backline, logistics like trucking, stuff like that. That's what I handle on behalf of the band. And so started doing that. Was just like the whole time butthole puckered, fingers crossed that I wasn't going to mess anything up, but we have really great management. They're like, we're not going to let you fail. You'll learn, and you might make some mistakes, but we're not going to let you fail. You have resources. We have resources. If you need help, just ask. And they've been great on that front. The band's been super understanding. They're knowing that I'm still learning, and that's one of the things that I try to strive for. Like, you learn something new every day.
Yeah.
Even if you're a master at your craft, learn something. Could be something small, something huge, whatever. So I've been doing that for almost a year now, and love it. Still doing monitors for them, but yeah, been doing that. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. So it almost is like, I'm hearing like on each of these steps of your journey, it's like you step into something that makes you uncomfortable, but then that opens the door for what's next for you. You know what I mean?
100%. For a while, we didn't do any of it, and that was also uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And not getting to do something that you truly love. So I try not to take it for granted, and take any opportunity I can to learn and figure it out. That way, one, I can have more opportunities, whether it be maybe in the future if I'm just a production manager for somebody, or if I end up being a tour manager for somebody, or even if my time on the road ends, I can go into actual band management or artist management. But yeah, like you don't continue doing something that you're comfortable with all the time, because then it's going to become stagnant and you're not going to like it.
Yeah.
Learn something, try something new, get your heart rate up and, get really thinking about it, become stressed. It's okay.
Yeah.
It doesn't last forever,
Sure.
So, like you guys, like you don't want to keep doing the same genre all the time, spice it up a little bit, have something different.
Yeah.
Right.
Like even the 311 dudes, like they're that like reggae rock music. They just did a collab with a cumbia band, which it's kind of like reggaeton-ish. I'm probably going to get some heat for that. But like it's this band out of Peru called Los Murlos, and a DJ, I forget his name, El Dusty. And they covered Amber from 311 and re-released it in this style. And like our DJ rapper Essay rapped in Spanish. Like he's of Hispanic origin, but doesn't really know Spanish. So he like learned his verse in Spanish and did all that kind of stuff. So that's kind of cool. And they mixed it up and it just helps the vibe a bit,
Yeah.
Sure.
So that's kind of cool. And that's what I like to do, not always do the same thing over and over again. So
It's like last night we was recording the band and it was like kind of, we had a stressful like schedule and whatnot, but it's like from now on, you already know like going in what you got to do, what I'm saying? That's like you saying like by taking on this role for 311, you prepping yourself down the line to just find something else you enjoy, and make it easier on yourself.
Yeah. And, like on the road every day is very unpredictable. You could have your schedule, but it's never going to go according to schedule. There's always going to be some kind of hiccup in there.
Facts.
Labor's not going to show up, or one of your techs partied too hard the night before and just thrown up in the corner, so everyone else has to pick up the slack, or, you have some broken gears, so you have to make it work. There's always something. And especially because you're always in a different spot. You don't know where things are. Like, I don't know where the local guitar center is in Bend, Oregon.
Yeah.
But someone does, but they're not always going to have what you need. So you got to make stuff work. And that's part of the thrill of it as well, is like the unpredictableness and fun of figuring it out.
On the COVID tour with the pods, I'm interested in this. Was it like fun or was it fucking lame? Like
it was interesting. Some places were super strict about it, and like they wouldn't even let people stand up.
That's crazy.
And it's Corey Taylor from Slipknot. So like his music's heavy.
Yeah.
And you have people just like, yes, please, some more. And then other times you have people like some of the cities that we went to, they're like, oh yeah, we're going to do the social distancing thing. You get there, it's just general admission, like people crowd surfing and stuff. And you're like, all right then, whatever, but and we got tested every day, COVID tested every day. Luckily the majority of the tour, nobody got sick. Corey and I both got COVID after the final show of the first leg. He had it. He tested positive the next day and was just like feeling absolute ass. And like it was in Denver, and he stayed in Denver for like a week and a half until he felt better. And I was asymptomatic. I went home. Well, we went back to home base was in Vegas for them. So we brought all the gear back to Vegas, and once Corey tested positive, everyone else was testing multiple times. And I tested the next day, got a weird result, tested again, it was fine. And then the next morning they tested me again and I was positive. So they're like, I'm sitting outside of SIR, the rehearsal spot in the storage space. I'm sitting outside SIR, just sitting outside. Everyone's unloading the bus and everything, and I'm just like sitting there for hours. And then someone had to come pick me up, and the person who came pick me up had just had COVID. And then I went back to their house, to Corey's house. He was in Denver. I was at his house. I was isolating in his house, swimming pool, giant TVs, giant house. He's in some like hotel just sweating it out. And I'm just like bebopping around, you know, like staying in my own isolation so no one else gets sick. And like I lost my taste and smell for like a day.
Oh, wow.
That's it.
Yeah.
And then it was the most like, it was the easiest COVID I've ever had.
But as far as the gigs go, like,
but yeah,
the vibe of the gigs was like good. Like people were just happy to be there.
People were happy to be there. You know, like I said, the vibes were kind of weird sometimes. You know, sometimes the crowds were just kind of dead. They were just happy to be there, but like security was kind of rough.
Yeah.
But I mean, overall, it was good. You know, we did some places we played 3 or 4 nights.
Just because it was so limited on like,
yeah, like the capacity was limited, and we were playing smaller places too. Because technically this was like his first tour that he had done on this solo project at the same time.
And it was during COVID. It just happened to be.
Yeah, so he did a live stream. He did the LA Forum. He did a live stream, full production, no PA, like hundreds of lights, full stage.
So it was just for live stream.
It was just for live stream.
Okay.
And it was during COVID. And so like we went out and did that, and then he'd be like, how's everyone doing? And then the camera would turn around. There's like 10 of us, and we're just like, woo, you know, just hanging out. Yeah. And so and this was for his record that he released. And so it just timed out to work that he was just like, I'm going to tour on this. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
You know, and I feel like a lot of these places kind of learned with us as it was going.
Facts.
You know, we played a venue. We were the first actual tour to go through this venue, period. It was brand new. They opened
as COVID started.
As COVID.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Like, so we were like, it was like the second band to perform there, but the first tour, and this brand new fucking facility. It was awesome.
Yeah.
But, you know, the vibes were cool though. Like everyone was super stoked to be there. It was Corey's band and his wife's dance troupe. Mm-hmm. It's like they have like a rock and roll dance troupe that she does, and they like dance to like tracks, like songs and stuff, but they like do stuff with like fire and aerial like silks and stuff like that. And like they have these metal plates that they put on their like waist, and then take like metal grinders and grind there's sparks flying everywhere. There's some crazy stuff. And like ropes and stuff in the air. So that was also part of it too. We filmed a movie for her that was like showcasing all of their things and has a storyline and all this kind of stuff. And it was all just about the dance troupe.
Yeah.
So we did the live stream, and then we did this thing all in the same time frame. So both of them released their stuff, and that's how we went out and toured with it. And yeah, it was cool. You know, nobody really knew what to expect because it was uncharted territory.
Nobody had ever done it before.
No one had done it before. You know, we left on 2 buses, had never been toured before. They bought the bus, and the next week COVID hit and they shut down. So it's just been sitting there. So like that was kind of cool. And, you know, I met a lot of people on that tour that I had never met before, like crew and stuff like that. So that was really cool. People I still talk to today. Mm-hmm. And, you know, that was a pretty cool thing too, because that was my first real-time freelancing, was doing that. And so I kind of got a taste of that, and it was great because it gives me the opportunity to tell people no. Mm-hmm. You know, when I worked for DSS, I had to do I was salary. You know, I was being like, hey, you're going to go do the show. I just got back from a show. Well, we need you on this one. Okay. Yeah. You know, I mean, that's just what it is, working for a company. But like now I can just, and you know, I've grown to where I have the opportunity to, if someone wants me to do something and I don't want to do it, I just be like, no, sorry, it's not worth my time, or I'm too busy, you know. So that's been kind of a cool learning experience as well, to be able to actually tell people no and find my limits even. So, but yeah, it was cool. I don't know if I'd say I'd be willing to do that again. Obviously, if it happens, I would, but like
You're better than selling insurance.
better than selling. Yeah, I was selling Medicare
To old people with
to
COVID.
old people with COVID, and it was tough, man. People had no idea what was going on.
What's something that like people that like go to shows and see these tours, what's something that they underestimated about like the production side of like all of this?
The schedule. You know, like you go to an arena to go see a concert.
Yeah.
That starts at like 6 a.m. We load it, you know, sometimes even earlier. You know, so and how many people are on a tour? You know, you have like in 22, forgot to mention this, I did Backstreet Boys. I did about 8 months with them, and we had, you know, there's 5 guys in Backstreet Boys, but there's 75 other people in the crew. You know, there's their bodyguards or security detail, whatever you want to call them. There's, you know, the TM, PM, tour manager, production coordinator, production assistant. Those are just people in the office. Plus you have each department. You have your audio, you have your video, you have lighting, you have wardrobe, you have automation, which is things moving in the air up and down. You have set carps, you have stage managers, you have show caller. That was more of like almost a theatrical production as opposed to a lot of tours. Like there was literally someone calling, sitting on the side of the stage, calling every single cue that would happen.
Action, yeah.
Yep. And, you know, special effects and lasers and fire and confetti and all that kind of crap. So people don't realize how much of a dance it is and how much coordination goes into those. Because we're going into the city and playing a show somewhere one day, and then start at 6 a.m., work throughout the day, load out, finish between midnight and 2 a.m., hop on a 45-foot tin can, drive to the next city, and do it again the next morning. You know, and it's not do a show, day off, do a show, day off. Sometimes it is. I've been on tours like that. It's great.
Yeah.
You know, but it's a lot of 2 in a rows and 3 in a rows. And, you know, your one day off is, you're like, oh, cool, I'm going to go explore the city. But you end up taking a 6-hour nap in the hotel room and waking up at like 4 p.m. Like, what am I going to do now? You know? So it's not, you know, it's no longer the Motley Crue sex, drugs, and rock and roll type stuff. You know, we're all sitting backstage on our phones and playing games or taking naps and eating chips and salsa. You know,
Not doing blow
off some hooker's ass, you know. You know, and it's not all like that glamorous, you know, but you have to love it.
Yeah.
Sure. It's not one of those things that you're just going to go and be like, it's okay. No, I truly do love what I do. Otherwise I wouldn't be able to do it, because it's grueling, man. You know, like
I'm always quick to tell people, like, if ever I go to a big show, just the people I'm with, I'm like, you know, these dudes that are running this got here at like 7 and they're going to be here till like 2.
Yeah.
Like, that's the craziest part to me.
Yeah. And like being in the position I'm in, my day is not just loading in and doing the show. You know, I'm on my computer the entire time that I'm not on deck. You know, I'm advancing the next show. I'm coordinating hotels for my crew. I'm figuring out, you know, labor calls and where we went over budget this day, or, you know, and all that kind of stuff. Or, oh, one of my guys is sick, so, you know, I have to have the guys pick up the slack, you know, to help with them or whatever. So, you know, not to say the regular crew isn't working hard. You know, but a lot of those guys get an opportunity to take a nap in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
But I mean, I sometimes get that opportunity as well, but there's always something going on, you know, always someone needing some sort of attention. So it's tough. And I'm lucky enough to have a tech as well. So when when we're loading in, I'm not dumping trucks. I'm coordinating with the venue and getting all that situated while you know, the stage crew is handling on stage, and my tech is helping build my world and get like wireless coordinated and stuff like that. Otherwise I wouldn't be able to do my job.
Yeah.
You know, cause it's I'm wearing 2 hats. You know, it's not just one job, it's 2. And sometimes people are wearing 3 or 4. I don't ever want to be in that position because that's, you know, the money's great, but at what cost?
Yeah.
You know? So, but it's one of those things like you don't realize how much work goes into it. Go to an arena, you're seeing your show has like 80 motors in the air. You know, those are the things that pick up the equipment that's flying. Like you have your PA in the air and your lighting and your video, and set pieces can even be flown, and stages come out of the ceiling and all that kind of stuff. You know, it's massive. There's even times when, you know, like, I mean, if you look at stadium tours, like the Taylor Swift tour, they had 2 stages, and they would have a crew come in, build the stage. Once it was built, they would leapfrog to the next city, start building that stage because it takes a couple days while the production goes in on the current stage, and they're just building the steel. Like she had like 80 to 100 trucks, and over half of that was just staging between the 2, leapfrogging back and forth.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so like she had hundreds of people on that tour. You know, I have like, normally I have like 10 crew plus the band.
And that's still big.
Maybe
you know
maybe
what I mean?
10, 12, something like that, you know. That one, she's hundreds.
Yeah.
You know, this summer we have more because we're carrying more production. But yeah, it's exponentially insane, you know. And the other thing that is that like being in the industry, you go to a concert, at least half the time you're not even paying attention. You're just like looking at the gear.
Looking all around.
Seeing what's happening, because you know what's going on.
Yeah.
They don't.
Yeah.
Most people don't. So like, you know, your favorite song could be playing and you're just
Looking and
staring around,
How they do
you know,
that.
kind of bebopping around, but like not quite paying attention. So it's cool, but it's also, you know, like I said, it's a lot of work and a lot of preparation, even beforehand and a little bit afterwards.
So like with shows and stuff with like artists, you know, they get like really creative with set design or whatever set list. Where does the creativity come from within like the production, like the sound?
So it's kind of funny. It used to just be like the artist was the creative. But now with a tour, there's so many different people involved. You know, you have creative directors who are just like, this is the image of the show. And they'll pitch the idea to the artist, be like, what do you think of this? And then the artist can come back and be like, well, I want this to change, or I was thinking, you know, I want a car to fly over the crowd, you know, or something goofy, and they have to figure that out. But you have your creative director, and then you have, so they come up with the idea, and then they'll give it to, maybe like if it's like creative staging and stuff like that, they'll give it to a company and they'll come up with ideas on how to make that happen. And then you have lighting directors who will take the giant stage idea and then be like, this is how I want the lighting to be laid out. And this is, you know, what I want my design to be like. We have a lighting creative, and he comes up with all of our designs and does a lot of the programming too. And then we have a lighting director who tours with us. So the creative doesn't necessarily go on tour. He kind of designs the whole thing, helps with the initial programming, and then the lighting director who's touring with us will operate everything and help with the looks and stuff, like design the looks and stuff like that. So when it comes to that, there's multiple, you know, and then when it comes to audio, there's not a whole lot of creativity with audio other than, you know, the seasonings that you put on it, like how you want it, like how you do your compression and EQ and all that kind of stuff. Of course, you have your musical directors with some bands, some artists, that'll kind of determine how everything's arranged, you know. But as far as like that, like the sound design and stuff, it's just kind of on the front of house engineer, how he does it and how he tunes the PA. Because, you know, you want your PA to be as sonically sound as possible, as good as it can, but it's a very subjective, you know, like what you like on a mix might not be what he likes on a mix. Might not be what I like on a mix, you know? So that's why when people are like, "Oh, that show didn't sound great," it didn't sound good to you. It might have sounded good to the front of house engineer.
Yeah.
Also, where were you sitting? You know, if you're,
I always try to post up by front of house.
always
bro.
try to post up front of house. You know, because if that's where the individual who's mixing, center, front of house, wherever they're sitting, that's going to be the best spot.
For sure.
A lot of people want to be in the front row and up close to the artist. It doesn't sound good up there.
Yeah.
You know, or you have a lot of people who are like, I want to be side stage. You can't hear anything on side stage.
Yeah.
You don't want to be there. You can't see anything. You can't hear anything other than clout of being up there. Sucks.
Yeah.
You know, so front of house is the place to be for that kind of stuff because you get your spatial imaging with your panning and all that kind of stuff. Because if you're, you know, if you have your arena here, your stage is here. If you're on the side of it, you're just going to hear that side of the PA.
Thanks.
You know, so, you know, anywhere else. So the best spot's going to be center, close to front of house, you know, whether it be on the floor or maybe even right behind front of house. That's the sweet spot.
Yeah.
And that's where you're going to get the best, like, tonal sound of, you know, how it's going to sound the best. But again, if you don't like it, maybe that person likes it.
I don't think it's super common, but you do hear about dudes live that mix everything in mono because like everybody's only, you don't realize that you're only hearing like one speaker no matter where you're standing.
Yep.
Does that make sense?
For sure.
I kind of subscribe to that.
Yeah.
To an extent, you know, obviously some panning is good. It just creates space. But yeah, if you're not sitting center, like that's how I feel about the big, like you have these spatial imaging systems, like, you know, that have like 15 hangs of speakers. And you have things like thrown over here, over there. Just it's
It's like some Dolby Live.
like Dolby, or L Acoustics has their Elisa, D&B has their Soundscape, Adamson has their thing, I don't remember what it's called, but things like that to where it's like you can choose where it is. And even like the Sphere where there's hundreds of thousands of speakers everywhere, you can like have things go in different spots. It's cool if you're sitting in like close proximity to where the mixer is. Otherwise, it doesn't create the same effect. And, you know, if you're mixing for 20,000 people aren't sitting center of the PA.
Yeah.
You know, so all your main stuff, I feel, needs to be in both left and right.
Yeah.
You know, and you have people that like, if you like hard pan guitars, if you have like more than one mic on a guitar and you're just, you know, different, have one mic go to one side, one mic go to the other, totally fine. You know, you're still getting that information on either side. It might sound a little different depending on where you are, but as long as you have everything coming through and hitting every single person, you're better off as opposed to only having it on one side or the other. The one big like hard panning of stereo of like guitars or something like that, the only time I feel that that's awesome is if you're playing a smaller room and your stage volume is just absolutely ridiculous from this guitar stack that's right here. Pan it over to this side because these people are going to hear it regardless.
Yeah.
Pan it over here so these people can hear it, you know, and you're not just bombarding. So it kind of balances out. That's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of people disagree, you know, on that. You know, a lot of people are like, oh, mix mono and this and that, or mix, you know, or people do super wide stereo imaging. You know, it's good for records. When you have, you know, if you have cans on, you can hear it panning left and right. You're always going to be in that plane, but in a live aspect. But also, I'm not a front of house guy, so I could be absolutely wrong in all of this.
So like when it comes to in-ears and stage monitors, like side fills or side hangs, you like do hard panning when you're doing shit though?
So for in-ears, personally, like in my mix, yes. For the artists, it's whatever they want.
Yeah.
You know, if someone's like, I want the guitars over here on my right side and I want my click on my left side, you know, I'll obviously pan it how they want. If I'm using side fills, I will run my side fills in stereo, but I won't pan it unless only this side of the stage wants it. You know, if like they're like, oh, I want my vocal over here in the side fill, and people on stage left are like, no, he can't sing. Don't put it over there. It'll just be over. No, don't put it over on my side. It'll just be on stage left side or stage right side. You know, that kind of stuff I'll do, the stereo stuff. But other than that, I usually like Ears, I will pan, give it, because you're wandering around, but you're wearing stereo in-ears,
Yeah.
So it gives you that spatial, imaging of everything, so you can hear things differently, and it's not a mush, because it does make a difference when you pan stuff. It's not all in the center, but when you have that plane, that's the same everywhere, So that I will do it in ears. Stereo wedges, I think, are stupid, but they're both coming at you right here,
Right?
So like
it's like the same as front of house. There's only one spot that is.
There's only one spot that works.
Yeah.
And if you're a singer and you're on wireless and you have stereo wedges in front of you, but you go run over to stage right, what is it going to matter?
Yeah.
Everyone else's mixes are mono.
Yeah.
And you have your side fills. So like, someone would be like, oh, I want my wet in my right mix and I want my dry in my left mix. Why?
Yeah.
And you're listening at such loud volumes, to where your ears are distorting. So these little characteristics you're not going to pick up. And that's also another thing that I feel about live. You have, not to throw shade on these front of house engineers who have racks on racks of outboard gear, and like 49 instances of waves on a single channel. And I know who I'm talking about.
You're hilarious.
But most people can't hear what you're doing.
Yeah.
When it comes to that, just your subtle warmth of using a DB, of some sort of like tube compressor or anything like that, where you have all this like outboard gear, like sure, like a master bus type thing, all that, it works well. But if you're mixing a show at like 105 dB, which is pretty loud, a lot of people are like, oh, the PA has to be able to reach 120 dBA weighted. For who?
Yeah.
Nobody's listening to that other than EDM kids, and they're fucked up anyway. But
never loud enough.
It's never loud enough. Never enough low end. Which low end feels good. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But like, there is such thing as too much.
I saw like a post. I think it was like Jack White or something, and he was like geeking out. And he said this changed his perspective because he was like, man, I got this like guitar and this like going into this amp and like the cables are like these ones. And then I got this mic on it with this console, blah, blah, blah. And they were like, bro, nobody gives a fuck.
Yeah. Nobody knows.
Yeah.
Other than the 10 people in your audience that are gearheads that are like, yo, he's using, like John Mayer and his gear. He's like, man, he's got a real Dumble. But now he's got like all of this like quad cortex stuff that sounds just as good.
Yeah.
For a while it didn't. The digital stuff did not sound as good.
Yeah.
I mean, plugins for the longest time didn't sound as good. Now it's almost indistinguishable unless you really, really know what you're listening for and you can pick up those artifacts. But like, I mix in the box. I don't use any outboard gear. One, it introduces latency, especially with ears. Like, you don't want latency because if your artist is singing and he hears himself with his head noise and then it's delayed into his in-ears, it's like a weird slapback. Mm-hmm. It's going to throw people off.
Yeah.
Some inherent latency is going to happen, and, 3 to 4 milliseconds, not so bad, especially because if you're using wedges, that's the latency that it's going to be the distance to your ears, so you have that anyway from the wedge on the floor to your ears. But these people who have all this crazy outboard stuff, no one's going to hear it.
Yeah.
Your ears are distort after a certain level of volume, and it's just a lot to take in, there. And I feel a lot of those people have all this gear, one to kind of show it off, and it's all doing stuff. Don't get me wrong. And I'm sure it really shapes their mix and it sounds incredible. People with all that kind of gear and have spent all that kind of money on that kind of stuff have done that because they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
But to the average person, nobody knows.
Somebody else pulls up with a laptop and a MIDI mixer and sounds just as good.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's just like, they're doing it for them.
Mm-hmm. I ain't gonna lie, I want hella more gear. You know
Sure.
what I'm saying? Come on.
But like in a studio aspect, it's different.
Yeah, a little bit.
You know, it's controlled.
It is and it isn't, because it's like we talk about latency all the time. Like, what can you get away with? You know what I mean? Like, you can't be putting all this crazy shit on there when you're recording somebody, because the same thing. They hear their voice and all of a sudden it's like, well, I can't talk.
Like,
Yeah, it's like,
in my head.
like those speech jammer apps and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. But like in a studio, it's controlled. And if something fails, you can fix it.
Right.
In a live
show that's
aspect,
live,
it's
bro.
show stopping.
Yeah.
You know, and people with all this vintage gear, it's cool and it sounds good. But if it fails, like sure, all pro engineers will have a dump. You know, you hit a button and it bypasses everything.
Yeah.
But, you know, I have that
Yeah.
for, you know, for some stuff that we have for like effects. If for some reason the effects are glitching, because they put some effects on their vocal, like some verb and delay and stuff like that. For some reason that messes up, I have a dump button to where it'll just be dry vocal and they won't like it, but it's better than the show stopping.
Yeah.
But if you have all this outboard gear and, you know, whether your interface to get it out and into your console, whether that breaks, or if a tube blows, if it's like one of those type of things, or the low end rumbles and rattles your power supply out because it's not a locking power supply, all those things can happen. Maybe on the road.
And they will.
And they will.
They will.
They will happen.
Yeah.
It will happen.
It will happen.
Or, you know, maybe your gear's been sitting in storage and you didn't go through it enough and a rat ate one of your cables. You know, all that happens.
Yeah.
So that's why I like keeping it simple.
Hey everyone, Code Red here. If you like the way this podcast looks and sounds, it's filmed on location at Code Red Productions. We handle all your audio needs for music, commercials, and podcasts. You can find us on Instagram or Facebook at Code Red Productions KC, or visit our website, coderedproductionskc.com. We'll see you here. Back to the show. Okay, so we were talking, you know, studio environment versus live environment.
Yeah.
I got a few skills I wrote down here for audio engineers, and you're going to rate them on a scale of 1 to 10 how important they are for live.
Okay.
And I want you to rate them on a scale of 1 to 10 how important they are for the studio.
Okay.
All right.
I'm ready
So the
for
first one is knowing how to properly wrap cables.
Oh, 10. 10.
Because if they fucked up, then I'm fucked up.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
10.
10.
Nothing will piss an audio engineer of any kind of audio engineer off than grabbing that cable, and it's a fucking rat nest, dude.
Dude, you toss it out and it's just like not. Or you wrap it around your arm.
Oh my God.
Brother, man, you're going to get a little pigtail.
I saw this post the other day. This band was like, who in the band can properly wrap a cable? And it was none of
None
them.
of
They
them.
were getting roasted.
Nobody can wrap a cable.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
No.
All right.
It's
Next
the
one.
drummer. The guitar players don't know how to wrap their cable, but the drummers do.
That if the drummer knows how to rap and nobody else does, that's crazy. All right. Signal flow. Knowing your signal flow.
15.
15?
Yeah, 15.
10?
Yeah, like,
Maximum.
gotcha.
You got to.
You have to.
Yeah.
You know, whether it be from source to like a guitar, you have your guitar, to pedal board, to the amp, or guitar to wireless, from the wireless to the pedal board back to the amp, into the effects loop, however it needs to go. And then you have your mic to your cable, to your preamp, to your mixer, to all that.
Yeah.
If you don't know your signal flow, you're not going to get signal.
Yeah.
So,
And when you were talking about when shit goes wrong, if you don't know the signal flow, you're just going to be reaching for straws.
you're just,
yeah.
absolutely. You know, it could be just an air gap.
Yeah.
You know, just something's not plugged in. But you need to know your signal flow so you can trace it and figure out where that air gap is or where the problem is. And you have to know all of the instances of where that could be, where the, you know, instances of failure could happen.
Yeah.
For sure.
You know,
Next one. Frequency recognition.
it depends on what you're doing.
Okay.
You know, obviously, no, I'm lying. It's important. It's important in different aspects. You know, obviously, if you're doing front of house and you have your frequencies and something's really muddying up your mix and you don't have your intelligibility and clarity, you need to know what to pull out and what is offensive. Also, maybe if you have a very quiet vocalist and you need to, you know, really goose the gain and the fader, you need to be able to identify frequencies that might feedback. Thus, knowing that, and then that goes into monitors. Same kind of thing. In your in-ear mix, what's mudding up a frequency, or if someone's like, man, I need more clarity, I need more attack. You need to know where those are. Or if you're on wedges and side fills and you have a very loud stage, and people with improper mic technique, cupping the mic or super Glenn Danzig and just spiking it in the mic. Yeah, I mean, he wanted that. But you need to know to try to avoid that from happening, pull those frequencies down.
Okay, so rate it 1 to 10 as a monitor engineer.
I mean, 9.
9?
9. I mean, same with front of house, 9.
Yeah.
It's very important.
What's your studio rating?
I say like 7 or 8 because like you don't have to know exactly. Just hear it. Oh yeah, this is this frequency, but you need to be able to know like at least in what range it is, so that you can go find it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
and you can sweep it and try to find it. I do that too. I don't know my frequencies to the T. Sure. I know the range that it's in. A lot depending on the frequency, I'll know it right off the bat.
Yeah, facts.
And I'll know which frequencies are usually the ones that cause problems. But to fine tune it, you sweep it, you bump it, you sweep it, figure out which one, and you cut it.
Yeah.
So yeah, exactly. You don't need to know the exact frequency, and
you got to be familiar with it.
And luckily, there are tools now that can help with that in a live aspect.
I have an RTA on like every mix.
Yeah, throw an RTA up, or if you own Smart.
I guess they call it spectrum analyzer.
Spectrum analyzer. Yeah, spectrum analyzer or an RTA, same kind of thing. But that way, if something does jump out at you, you have it right here. You can see it. I mean, like even on your phone, if you're ringing out wedges, like there's no shame in that. Should you know what basically it is? Yes.
Yeah.
But it's always good to have tools. And that's what it is.
Like you said, it's more important to know the range, right? If I hear a frequency, I can be like, okay, this is between like 800 and 2K somewhere. I can like get started.
This
and then
I
can find it.
It's in the low mid somewhere.
Yeah.
It's in the highs somewhere, something like that. Like something super high up there, you're like, oh, it's gonna be like 10K, pull that out. Or if you need, absolutely. I guess 7 or 8 for just knowing the range.
Yeah. Okay, this piggybacks off the first one, but this one is cable management.
Yeah, also very important.
Yeah.
It's like a 9.
Yeah. Yeah. Because your cables aren't staying there, and you want to be able to. One of the biggest phrases I like to hear, that I hear that I like, is load in for the load out. You want to be able to get out of there as quick as possible, and if your cables are a mess,
spiderweb, tangled,
yeah,
braided.
Man, if it's just braided all together and in and out of each other, you're going to be spending 30 minutes trying to, untangle it when you could already be hitting the showers and going to bed or eating your after show pizza or whatever. Or, just, it has to look nice too. You go to a lot of festivals and stuff, you just see this just like giant trough of disgusting 500 cables. Everybody has their sub snakes out, and like you have your wedge lines and cross stage and stuff, and it's just a mess. Like, how many times do we load out of festivals and we're just like, fuck.
Yeah, fuck. Throw the whole thing in the box. Fuck it.
Honestly. And then you'd be like, oh, I'll save it for the shop people. And it's like, wait, we're the shop people too. God, dude. But at that, you don't want to deal with it. But that's what's going to set you up for success for the next one. Like lowering a PA, you want to lower your giant looms of cable in like maybe like a figure 8 or whatever. So that way when it goes up nicely and you're ready to go. Get it like when you're putting things away and you're managing your cables for the next show so that your load in doesn't have to be as bad. You don't have as, it's stress management, not just cable management.
And something you said too is like when you make it pretty, like some artists fuck with you when they show up and it's like doesn't look like there's cables everywhere. You know what I mean? Like they like that aesthetic of like clean.
And it's a sense of pride in your work too. You know, if it's, you took the time to make it nice, you're like, I did that.
Yeah.
Or I told somebody to do that at least, depending on what you're doing. But, you want it to be clean. No one likes looking over and seeing a rat nest.
Yeah. All right, what'd you give it?
I gave it a 9.
He gave it a 9.
What'd you give it?
9.
9.
8 or 9.
All right, next one. Being on time.
Being on time is very important for multiple reasons. If a lot of people have the mindset of if you're on time, you're late, which I get, but also at the same time, if I'm not being paid to be there early, I'm not being there early.
Yeah.
5 minutes, sure, whatever. But like, I'm not showing up somewhere 30 minutes early if I'm not paid to be there 30 minutes early. Like for hourly thing, whatever. Obviously on the road. On the road, if you're not on time, or if you're on time, you're late. Absolutely, because you'll get oil spotted, which is they'll just leave you. Like the bus leaves at this time. If you're not on that bus, find your own way.
See you at the next one.
See you at the next one. Good luck.
So what'd you give it?
Depends on the circumstances. Well, I mean, being on time always important. So I'll say that's an 8.
8.
Like a 9 ski.
9.
Ski. Yeah.
And there's always circumstances.
Yeah. I kind of preach here, like, it not too early, but like if you're on time, you're late. Like you gotta be here at least like 5 minutes early.
Yeah, like you're not gonna show up to your set right when the set starts. You're gonna be there a little bit early so you can be ready to go. Or if you're, I don't know how you run your studio, but like if someone shows up and they're having to like set up their pedal board or something when they're recording guitars, like you want to get as much time of your actual recording as you can.
Yeah.
Because, you're paying by the hour, and like I said, it's circumstantial. If it's an hourly thing, on time is obviously way more important. Don't ever be late. But, if you're just doing something for a day rate or, like a block, show up within reason. Don't be late, but you don't have to show up half hour early, 45 minutes early.
Yeah.
Your time is your time as well, but choose to spend it wisely. So yeah, 8, 8.5.
All right. Being good at mixing.
Subjective. What is good?
That's for you to decide on a scale of 1 to 10.
Like what I think is good?
Let's just say something like the artist perceives you as being good at mixing.
Now, when you say is this like how important, like important to be successful or just important to you personally?
Like, how important is it as a skill for an audio engineer to have being good at mixing?
I feel it depends. Like being good at mixing is very important, but also achieving what the artist wants, which might not be good.
Yeah.
But doing what they want.
I was just there a couple of weeks ago. I didn't agree with the way the mix was going, but they were
if they're
leaning
stoked,
into it.
Yeah, if they're stoked on it and whatever, like if there's a really shitty in-ear mix, but that's what the artist wants.
Job done.
Okay.
So
if it's just click dimed and like kick drum and snare,
Yeah.
and that's what you want, have at it, my friend.
Yeah. Okay. So really, like what we would, I guess, like consider in our minds good at mixing, not as important, but as long as you can cater to the needs of what you're trying to do, that's more important, right? Like that word.
Good at achieving the product that the artist wants.
Yes.
Yeah.
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 I mean, that's very important.
Yeah.
That's 9 because that's ultimately your job.
Yeah.
9, 10, but again, it's the good's that subjective term.
Yeah.
And relative to, also shit in, shit out, you can only do so much. You could be the best mixer of all time, and have all the Grammys and accolades and whatever. But if you have an artist who's just like absolute garbage product, there's only so much you can do. You only polish a turd so much.
Yeah.
Same thing with live. If someone's guitar tone is absolute ass, it's only so much I can do to it.
Yeah.
Only so
Definitely.
many positions I can put the mic.
Definitely.
If your snare drum sucks, man, I can only do so much. I can tell you to not tune it up so high or not tune it up so low, but if that's how you like it, it's how you like it.
Yeah.
I'm giving it an 8 because I just feel like it just depends on your role with the artist. Like you might not be the person for the artist that's sitting here trying to make sure that it's mixed and mastered and polished to the best of your ability, but you got the, like you said, got the idea out. I know how to get the product that you want right there in the moment.
Yeah,
100%.
absolutely.
So you said 8.
Yep, 8.
All right. This is my last one. Music theory.
I'm gonna put that low.
Yeah.
You know, I feel as a producer, way more important. I don't know music theory. You know, I know a little bit. You know, I am a loose term musician myself.
Yeah.
But you know, I'm not creating, you know, the music. You know, I'm not arranging things. You know, I just work for the artist and recreate what they're putting out. So in the live aspect, not as important, I'd say, as in the studio to create something to release to the masses that people haven't heard.
So put a number on it.
4.
I was gonna say 5.
That's not much higher though.
Yeah, because I feel like it's not as necessary as a lot of other shit. Especially with today, like you don't necessarily need to know every single piece of music theory to be able to craft something, whether you're producing, being an artist or not. Like I probably know like surface level music theory, but I can get a lot of shit done that a lot of people that know the shit can't get done.
Yeah.
If you ask me what a Phrygian mode is, I couldn't tell you.
Me neither. But
I know the word.
Listen, the only scale you really need to know that it can get you through anything is just the major scale.
Yeah.
As long as you can just like whole half, whole half.
Yeah, 100%.
You can get through damn near anything.
For sure.
That's
I
mine.
mean, and 99% of everything's in a major scale anyway, major or minor.
But I would agree, like a 5 probably. You know what I mean? Like it's not like detrimental if you don't know shit, but it's gonna hurt you if you don't know shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, so 5 is a good answer.
And that can go along with learn something every day.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
if you don't know it and they're talking about it, take a beat, open up your phone, see what they're talking about.
Yeah.
You know.
All right. Well, low key, we're gonna follow up a little game with another game. We got one, Squirt?
We got one. So I'm gonna give you 2 options. You pick. Tell me which one you picking. Festivals or arenas?
Arenas. I hate festivals.
He answered that with lightning quick
I
speed,
hate
bro.
festivals.
What about you?
I like outdoor though.
No, indoors.
Really?
Air conditioning.
Oh, geez, bro. You the white glovingest live
If
sound
it's a
guy.
hockey arena with the ice still down and just the little mats on top, let's go.
You probably set your thermostat at home to like 60.
Shit. Yeah.
Like 63, 62, 63.
We like it cold. He knows.
We got to. I'll probably say arenas. I haven't been to a festival.
You can always
Been in
put on a jacket.
True.
Keep warm.
Can't take off skin.
Bro, I'll say this. I don't really care to go to festivals unless I'm artist pass.
And rain.
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
true.
rain comes
Damn near every
rain.
festival I ever worked got rained on.
Yeah,
so that shit was
crazy.
terrible. Yeah.
Tornadoes. We've been in some tornadoes.
what?
Yeah.
That's wild.
Every Memorial Day.
And every year they run it back.
And every year they run it back.
Yeah.
Now it's on Labor Day. And there's still tornadoes.
The Midwest.
Midwest, man. Love it.
Studio mixing or live mixing?
Live.
I'm going with studio. I'll
For
sit
sure.
there and fucking get high as a kite and sit there and work on a mix for 3 hours. I can't ever do that live.
I don't really have a background in studio. I've
Yeah.
always been just alive. So
Yeah.
it's just preference. Like,
Fair.
do I like it? Sure. I mean, would I like to do more of it? Probably, but I don't really have, it's not really like in my wheelhouse or have the opportunity of it.
So it's just the energy of a live performance is what you're looking forward to more.
Oh, dude, love
Yeah.
it. Like every show I do, as the intro rolls, I still get butterflies in my stomach.
Yeah.
That's how I know I still love it.
lit.
You know, I just love that energy, you know,
That's
and
dope.
the people watching.
Yeah. A lot more of that
A lot
going
more
on.
of that going on.
Yeah.
There's some creatures sometimes.
In-ears or wedges?
In-ears.
You like just because like the stage volume or what?
You know, so yeah. I love mixing in-ears because you can create a more full mix, which is, you know, it gives you a little bit more creativity. And also you can listen at lower volumes. I'm a very big proponent of hearing protection. I listen to my mixes very low, pretty much just enough to block out the stage volume from bleeding. Now, luckily, if you have a good set of in-ears, there's a good seal, so you can listen at lower volumes. But my ears are what make my money, you know?
Yeah.
So I have to be able to protect that at all costs. But also at the same time, it's it's a lot tighter because you can hear what you want to hear, as opposed to if you just have wedges, it's just washing all over the place.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just super loud.
Yeah.
So 100% in-ears, you know, throw some side fills for some low end, you know, sure, whatever, even if it's just subs. But yeah, I'm very in-ears.
Sure. I get what you're saying, and the idea of like a full like creative mix in my ears sounds dope, but something about that air moving too. I just like that air. You know what I mean? Like whenever the kick hits, and you can just feel it. Like I don't know. I just like it.
I mean, and a good combination of the two is great.
Yeah.
You know, like I said, if you're on ears, throw some subs for your side fills.
Yeah.
Just have some low end punch. But also when you're playing big enough places, your PA's hitting anyway. You know, you have audience mics, you can hear it from the room. A lot of people, I mean, we still have live guitar cabs on stage. We're not doing any kind of ISO or digital modeling or anything like that. So they still have all their cabs. So if they decide to pull an ear out, it's still right there. You can, you know, the bass can still feel the bass. The guitars can still feel, you know, because it's loud.
Yeah.
So they still have that. Our drummer has a full drum fill. He's on ears, but he's got a dual 18 and a wedge on top.
Yeah.
And it's really just kick and snare. And
why do we see so many artists do that? Like, especially like, you know, when we see them like on videos or TV performances, it's like they'll pull the in-ears out. You know what I mean? Like live.
Couple reasons. One could be something's going on with the mix to where they're not liking it, or there might be some tonal issues. Another thing could be pressurization of their ears. You know, you're sealing off your ears. Now they have a lot of ears that have pressure valves on them. I don't know how I feel about them because it loses the seal. When you lose your seal, you lose low end. So it's kind of a thing I'm on the fence on. And sometimes it's just uncomfortable. You know, they're acrylic plastic essentially, unless you have the silicone ones. Your ear gets sweaty. It could hurt if you have old in-ears because your ears change shape constantly throughout your life. You have to get new in-ears every like 3 years, 2 to 3 years. I'm sure I'll get a message from some company that'd be like, no, you should do it more or less. But you need to, people who have like in-ears that are like 10 years old, you don't have a good seal and it's probably uncomfortable. And then the other thing is some bands don't have like audience mics. And if they're doing some call and response with the audience, you pull your ear out so you can hear them or hear the response like, this is our big song. I'm going to pull us out. Like when the downbeat hits and they get what the song is, you hear the crowd. Some like my band, we have audience mics. They don't use them. It's more for like our records because we live record every show for archival purposes. But they do that to pull them out so they can hear the crowd. Our DJ, when he's doing his DJ stuff, his ears are in. When he's singing, there's at least one ear that's always out to hear the crowd. I've started to incorporate the mics into his ears. He likes it and doesn't like it. He does tend to sweat a lot too. Not tend to, he sweats a lot. He's a very sweaty human being. So I know that he does that also to kind of dry his ears out because it's just getting everywhere. and that can become uncomfortable or itchy or whatever because like they're in your ear. It's not like an AirPod. It's like in your ear.
Yeah.
It's custom molded to your ear. It's in your canal. You know, it's a very different feeling, honestly.
So you get some custom ones, they like shoot foam in your ear?
Yeah, they put this like goop in your ear and it like to mold to it. And they'll stick a piece of foam in with a string attached to it so you don't lose it and like hangs out. But it's like in there. That's the most uncomfortable part of in-ears is getting molds made.
I've never done it.
Well, we can change that. Some companies do like 3D scans of your ears, but I don't know how. I got one set of my ears was 3D scanned. It's awesome. They didn't have to do that and it's a good fit, but I feel like it's not as good per se as having the
mold.
Yeah. It's just, that's the worst part. You put a bite block in, so you're sitting there. Because when your mouth is open, your ears change as well. So singers, their mouth is going to be open, so you have a bite block in, so it opens up your canals a little bit more. Or closes them. I forget what it does. But you're sitting there for like 5-10 minutes while this cures. This pink goop in your ears. It's like, yeah, it's very weird, but it's very isolating. It's kind of like serene at the same time because you can't hear anything.
Yeah.
It's cool.
What's the next one?
All right, so this is, you think of this as like the studio, and you as like show.
Yeah.
You rather have great equipment, terrible artist, terrible performer, or the vice versa? Great performer, shitty, terrible equipment.
Damn, what's the shitty like how shitty, how terrible equipment?
Yeah.
Just booty cheeks.
Like ass.
Got it.
Like I'm gonna be on a fucking
Are you talking like bad equipment for me or like the bands on like Squire?
Bad equipment for you.
Oh, bad equipment for me. Ooh.
but the band's like dope.
Yeah, but the band's fire.
And like their gear is fine.
Yeah, like their guitar and shit.
So like I'm on some like piece of shit mixer.
Yeah,
That like the club has that half the channels don't work.
Yeah.
piece of shit monitors and bullshit. Shitty mics.
I can make a shitty mic work. That's tough because
I think I gotta go with the good artist though, because
because like shit in, shit out. If you have a bad artist,
yeah.
and you have you know, there's only so much you can do.
Yeah.
Again, there's only so much you can do on bad gear, but you can at least set the expectation.
Facts.
Yeah.
You know, and that's part of the challenge. That's fun. You know, if you have something you want to make it as good as possible, you know that you can achieve something good, as opposed to I can only take this so far with this kind of person.
For sure.
Yeah.
You know, so I'd say good artist, bad gear.
Same. That's the way I'm going to.
For sure.
Like he said, shit in, shit out, bro. If the artist ain't nothing, we both gonna sit there doing nothing. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Facts.
yeah, we gonna get something.
And honestly, if I
have
have a really bad artist but I have great gear, I'm not putting in the effort.
Yeah,
That's not true. I'll try my best,
that's crazy.
but there will be a point where I'm just like, well, this is it.
If you got a bad artist on good gear, it's like you can't like use it to the the best. It's
you're
like,
not even doing.
No,
shit with
it's a
anyway.
waste.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, then if you have a good artist on bad gear, it's a waste of the artist. But at least you'll have somewhat of a enjoyable performance.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, I'll take bad gear, good artist.
All right, last question I'm gonna ask you before we get you out of here. Favorite show you ever attended as a fan?
Ooh. I've seen my fair share
I figure probably like thousands.
of
Yeah.
of shows. Two shows that I've seen my fair share of Blink shows. Blink's my favorite. Those have been great. The best sounding show I've ever been to was John Mayer,
We're at
Sprint Center.
here in town.
Yeah.
Okay.
He did 3 sets. He did an acoustic set, a full band set, and a John Mayer trio set. It was incredible. I was like, Courtney and I went.
Yeah.
Shout out C Sharp.
Shout out C Sharp.
And we were like 8th row center. And it was just incredible.
Fire.
Yeah.
It was so good. Like, absolutely, man. Paid way too much for tickets. Like, we were sitting in the shop, and I was like, I'm getting on the pre-sale right now. But as far as show that I just had a good time at, honestly, like I said, I love going to Blink shows, but like a lot of times it's the smaller shows, like the club shows, seeing the smaller bands who are like still trying to make it and just putting their all into
the
those
shit.
shows.
Yeah.
But then you have those hardcore fans who are also just like losing their minds. You know, like you go to a big show, like unless you're seeing like Slipknot or something, you don't have people like crowd surfing and stuff. But you go to like the Truman all the time.
Yeah.
Sometimes at like the Midland, but like it's the small like 1,000 cap rooms, maybe even smaller, that these like small to mid-sized bands are playing and just putting their all into it, and there's just so much emotion and like heart in that. It's great. You know, like big bands, they put a lot of themselves into it, but there's also a lot of them just phoning it in. It's just a paycheck.
Yeah.
These dudes and girls are trying to get to the point where it's a paycheck. They're still, you know, barely making anything, eating PB&Js and Uncrustables and Taco Bell.
So it's like you could answer that multiple ways. You answered with like the best sounding one was John Mayer, but then also like when you see the passion that these other bands are putting on, you know what I mean? It's like that makes a difference.
Yeah, like the up and coming. And also at those kind of shows, you're seeing bands that you don't know. You know, like you go to see the headliner, you have no idea who the openers are.
Yeah.
You might find your next favorite band. You know, and you can be that hipster mentality of being like, I knew them when they were small.
Yeah.
You know, you know. So one of my favorite bands, like pop punk bands, like I saw one of their first shows ever at some like strip mall in Kennesaw, Georgia, that had like 25 people there. And it was literally like every box on the PA was a different make and model.
Yeah.
It was just some hodgepodge thing, and the lights were track lighting. But it was one of the greatest shows I've ever seen.
But the show was still
People
fucking
were,
amazing.
you know, and then I saw them 2 years later at the Tabernacle in Atlanta. People were just singing their hearts out, and it's cool. You know, those kind of shows are great. I love those.
Yeah.
You know, giving the small guy a chance.
Give the small guy
Give
a
the small guy a
chance.
chance.
Go to support your local shows at your
Support local music, kids.
Tap in.
It's a dying industry. Now it's all this prefabricated shit. You know, pop stars. I like pop music too, don't get me wrong.
Please hire Geoff for your next pop tour.
Yeah,
Thank you.
please.
All right.
Yeah. Hit your boy up.
That was fun. That's it for us. At CoRedKC, at We Got One Scorp, at Geoff Plourd. Geoff, thanks for the stories, bro. Good
Thanks,
stuff.
dudes. Appreciate it.
All right, man. TraKCouts bouncing out, y'all. Peace.